Is there a special place where a person can look to find verbs? Of course, in sentences. And is there a special way to recognize verbs? That's what this film is about. We know that a complete sentence has two main parts: the complete subject, which tells what the sentence is about, and the complete predicate, which tells something about the subject. Now let's meet Joe and Nancy's dog, Princess. And now let's look for complete subjects and predicates in sentences. Let's try a sentence. Joe showed his skill as a driver. This sentence is about Joe, so that word is the complete subject. The rest of the sentence tells something about the subject Joe, so the words showed his skill as a driver are the complete predicate and complete subject. Let's try another sentence. Joe's car developed engine trouble. What is the sentence about? So this is the complete subject. And what is it that tells us something about the complete subject? So this is the complete predicate. And together we have a sentence. Finding the complete subject and predicate in a sentence is the first step in learning to recognize verbs. Nancy enjoys the game of croquet. The ball hit Princess on the nose. It's easy to separate the words of this sentence into the complete subject and predicate. Now, while the predicate as a whole tells us something in general about the subject, one word in the predicate tells us something in particular about the subject. Hit tells us what the ball did. It tells us about an action of the subject of the sentence. Let's look at another sentence. Princess returned the ball. In the predicate of this sentence, a word that tells us about an action of the subject is returned. Nancy smiled at her pet's playfulness. Is there a word in this sentence that tells us about an action of the subject? Yes. So in each of these three sentences, there has been a word in the complete predicate which told what the subject of each sentence did, involving an action. Hit, returned, smiled. These words were used as verbs in these sentences. Looking for the words in the predicate that show some action by the subject is one way to recognize verbs. Or we might put it this way. A verb is a word in the predicate that tells what the subject does. Let's use this definition to find the verbs in certain sentences about Joe in his chemistry class. Joe held 2 beakers in his hands. Which word in the predicate tells what the subject did? That's the verb. He poured liquid from one beaker into the other. Where's the verb? The mixture bubbled. The verb. Joe placed the beaker on the table. The second beaker was placed beside the first. Where is the verb in this sentence? The second beaker is the complete subject. Is there a word in the complete predicate that tells what the subject did? No. But the 2 words was placed tell what was done to the subject. What happened to the second beaker? It was placed beside the first. The word was is a helping word. Look at the two words was placed. They are used as a verb in the sentence. So now we must add to the chart we began before the statement that a verb is also a word that tells what is done to the subject. When a verb tells what is done to a subject, it is made of more than one word. Let's see more examples of this kind of verb. An election is scheduled at school. An election is the complete subject. What is done to it? It is scheduled. So is scheduled is used as a verb in this sentence. Now, as we change tenses, we'll find that the helping words also change. Nancy has been nominated for room treasurer. What is the complete subject? And what is the verb in the complete predicate? The election will be held today. What is the verb? Nancy has not been elected. What is the verb in this sentence? Is it has not been elected? No. Not is not a part of this verb. It is a word that changes the meaning of the verb. The verb is has been elected. From this example, you can see that the parts of a verb do not always stand together in a sentence. So far, we've seen that a verb tells what the subject does or tells what is done to the subject. But let's look at this sentence about Princess. Princess is a pedigreed dog. Let's separate the complete subject from the complete predicate. Now, in the complete predicate, is there a word that either tells what the subject, Princess, does, or something that is done to the subject? No. But there is a verb here, and the verb is the word is. Is does not indicate any kind of action. Then what sort of information does the word is give us about Princess? It tells us something about what is called the state of being of Princess. What is the state of being of Princess? Princess is. And the rest of the predicate tells us what Princess is. Let's try another state of being verb. Princess seems gentle. Which word in the complete predicate indicates the subject's state of being? Seems is the verb in this sentence. Appearances are deceiving. The subject is the word appearances. What is the verb here? Are indicates state of being. So now to our chart we can add a verb is a word that also indicates the state of being of the subject. A verb in any sentence will do one of these three jobs. So we can recognize the verbs in sentences by looking for those words which tell what the subject does, tell what is done to the subject, or indicate the state of being of the subject. Now let's test our knowledge. We're at an amusement park with Nancy and Joe. Let's look for verbs. The parachute rose slowly. Which does the verb rose tell? What the complete subject did, or what was done to it? Nancy and Joe were carried to the top. Here, what does the verb were carried tell about the complete subject? Nancy seemed frightened. Does seem show action or state of being? Why is this place called an amusement park? Where is the verb in this sentence? You can find it if you remember what a verb does. By learning this definition, you can learn to recognize and use verbs effectively.